the face of the seven, not you. Me. I still score higher on every demo that counts. They all love me.
Well, congratulations. I mean, this constant need to be loved by everyone is kind of pathetic, but, yay. Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my video for The Boys, Season 2, Episode 4. Everyone grab a glass of milk because they took it to another level in this episode. If you're new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the episodes this season. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. We'll do an Amazon giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite, craziest moment from the episode on the video. We'll do top 10 WTF and Easter eggs as we go along, just careful for spoilers from The Boys Season 2 Episode 4. So starting with number 10, they start with those funny jokes of the video interviews that The Deep is doing with the Church of the Collective, interviewing different women to become his wife, quote unquote, in an arranged marriage that they claim will rehabilitate his image and get him back on the seven. I think we're all in agreement that of course that's ridiculous and that's not going to get him back on the seven. The church is just trying to brainwash him, indoctrinate him like they try to get other superheroes. This is a very clear parody of big organizations like Scientology or other religions. We're making all these jokes about the Fresca cult too. They didn't hammer home the Fresca jokes in this episode, but I'd be willing to bet that if you could look in the background of most of the scenes involving the church and this new church character, you'd probably see a can of Fresca somewhere. They have this montage of different women that are kind of funny in their own different ways. Each one has their own sort of kink or weirdness or weird backstory that they tell. And as funny as that super slutty one was at the end where he's like, ooh, definitely that one. We want that one. The one that will do anything that I say. They just remind you how deeply he's let the church sink its hooks into him because they're like, oh, of course you get to choose who you marry. But no, you're going to marry this girl right here. The funny thing about the one that they chose for him to marry is that she's the one that was all about that lover's pact, the ones that died together and were found fossilized. So it almost sounds like she's going to try and have some sort of death pact with the Deep, so somebody warn him. That's a bit of a red flag. Number 9, Kimiko and Frenchie's arc takes a left turn when she drills down on Stormfront, obsessed with getting revenge for the death of her brother, who Vought is calling a supervillain. They even blame him for all the people that Stormfront killed in that building and the damage that she caused. It's just another example of what they did to Butcher when Homelander killed Stillwell. They control the media, the television stations, the broadcasting, the shows, so it's all part of their giant PR machine, spinning things the way they want to spin them. He's barely able to stop her from throwing her life away. Like, there's no way that you're going to walk away from this alive. Please don't do it. Let's go home. You're not going to be able to beat her like this. There's a couple really cool Stormfront moments from the comic book that they might wind up including in later episodes, so I don't want to talk about those too much now in case they wind up being spoilers. There's also that Frenchie moment with his other girlfriend where they talk about Lamplighter foreshadowing something later this season. He's going to be coming onto the show. They actually kicked the character off the Seven right before the events of Season 1, Episode 1, the premiere. That's when Starlight joined the Seven, replacing Lamplighter. So I'll talk more about what's going on with Lamplighter when he actually shows up in an episode, which should be pretty soon. But number 8, Homelander and the shapeshifter Stillwell. This is probably one of the funnier, more WTF parts of the episode. The reveal is kind of shocking too, and you don't really know what's going on till the end of the episode, but for a brief second, I actually thought that he was hallucinating her when we first met her because he is so nuts. It's not completely out of the realm of possibilities, but it's just another superhero that has shape-shifting abilities that he probably pays to live out his fetish fantasies with the replacement Stillwell. I kind of wonder now if he was visiting this person while Stillwell was still alive because he didn't really consummate his relationship with Stillwell till right before he wound up killing her. It's every bit as nuts as you would expect, him telling her everything you think he wants to hear. You're amazing. Everything you do is incredible. Just being the mommy that he thinks that he wants. You're the most powerful person on the planet. Then obviously the real WTF twist is the ending, which we'll talk about in a second, because I think they're also foreshadowing a major comic book twist down the road. Number 7 though, Mother's Milk, Huey, and Starlight's big road trip. I really liked a lot of their casual scenes together that didn't involve a lot of action. It was more about big reveals and them just having fun together, learning about people's backstories. Singing a whole bunch of Billy Joel while they traveled to learn the secret of the superhero Liberty from back during the Vietnam War era of the 70s. They have this whole thing with Starlight and Huey's relationship. They're probably the most wholesome couple on the show. They're still a couple mostly, just a couple that can't see each other for now because of how serious things are getting. You get a ton of Mother's Milk backstory. You learn his father was killed by Vought because he tried to expose them after something, quote-unquote, happened to Mother's Milk involving Vought when he was a child. I think this is just meant to be a big comic book Easter egg for Mother's Milk and his powers. I don't know if they're going to do this on the TV show, but he does have powers in the comics. He has some minor superpowers like enhanced strength when he drinks, get it, his mother's milk. That's why his name is Mother's Milk. He and Homelander would definitely have some stuff to talk about. But TV show Mother's Milk probably was just a test subject of Vought and Compound V when he was a child and something went sideways. Usually Vought only tests or injects Compound V into newborn babies or really, really young kids, but in some special cases, the effects are much greater when they inject it during the fetus stages of development. That's what they did with people like Homelander. They injected massive amounts of Compound V into his mother's womb when he was still a fetus developing. Number 6 though, Starlight versus Homelander. He gives her the business, or tries to give her the business in the elevator after that little Stillwell, or the fake Stillwell pep talk. Totally eats up all her lies. It seems like he's pretty easily manipulated, as his conversation with Stormfront proves later on. The showrunner said that this is because Homelander's real weakness is more psychological than it is physical. Like, you might not be able to hurt him physically very easily, but the right speech, the right phrases can completely cripple him emotionally. For now though, she's still on the 7, she's still in the clear with Homelander, which we cannot save for A-Train. So number 5, everyone press F in the chat to pay respects to A-Train. Homelander just gives him that funny speech like, "We thank you for your service, buddy. Now get the hell out of here. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out." There was some Season 2 trailer footage of him in that Ohio dive bar with the Deep, just drowning their sorrows to make as many puns as possible. So maybe that's where he goes to seek some solace. Like, you also got kicked off the 7, I just got kicked off the 7, so let's hang out together. It'll be real funny to see how he reacts to all the Deep's weird cult stuff if the Deep tries to get him to also join the Church of the Collective. Number 4 though, Black Noir and that analyst were some of the MVPs of the episode that he hijacks to track down Butcher. They had some of the funniest scenes in the entire episode, and it's all because everyone's so terrified of Black Noir, and because he doesn't speak, it makes him even scarier, just because you've seen the things that he can do, especially with that opening scene from Season 2, Episode 1. They were posting a bunch of pictures from behind the scenes a while ago. This is what the actor under the mask actually looks like. But after a case of Red Bull, they find Butcher at Becca's secret compound. And I think the reason why this is an even bigger deal is because Black Noir and the other members of the 7 don't know about Becca, and they don't know about Homelander's son. There was a moment during the Season 2 trailer where we see some footage of Black Noir on a rooftop in a suburban-looking house, so I'm hoping that this foreshadows Black Noir going to Becca's house to investigate Homelander's son, and the son using his powers to try and stop Black Noir. We've already seen that he can soak a ton of energy damage because of that opening scene, and during this episode in particular, Butcher and other people keep referencing the kid's glowing eyes and heat vision, so I'm just hoping that they have a scene where he unleashes his heat vision on Black Noir for the very first time, just frying him a little. Even giving him a full blast wouldn't be enough to kill him, as we've seen. It seems like he regenerates pretty fast. Number 3 though, Butcher finds his wife finally, and somehow it's not even the biggest twist of the episode, but they answer a bunch of long-running questions about what really happened to her back then. She says she did not go willingly, with a capital R, when referencing what happened with Homelander's son, where that came from. She hates being trapped in Vought's compound, but the kid seems like he might turn out alright with her influence, and she doesn't want to abandon him to Vought so that they can just turn him into another psychopath like Homelander. Becca also kind of says something that foreshadows the Stormfront reveal at the end of the episode too. She says, there'd be 2 assholes out there then, which we know is actually true because now we know Stormfront's secret. There are now 2 of them that we know about that are out there, 2 really terrible villains. Becca also seems like she does want to be with Butcher, but she understands his dark side and how crazy he gets, but she needs to stay at the compound to protect the Superboy, not because she doesn't want to be with Butcher. They did proceed to get it on pretty quickly though, and she will be in more of the episodes this season, so they will be following up on what's going on with her and the son here, like the Black Noir foreshadowing that I mentioned. Number 2, Stormfront versus Homelander and her big secret. So I think the chemistry between the 2 of them is great. It's fun to watch her talk circles around him and manipulate him. You could see the confusion on his face, like he thinks this is all about her wanting to take control of the 7, but she really doesn't care about any of that. To her credit, she does try to explain the 4-dimensional chess game that she's playing with the media and all these people in the public. I'm paying these bloggers with coupons, and you had to spend $270 million. The look of confusion on his face is hilarious, like she stops him dead in his tracks and you can see the hamster just jump off the wheel in his head like, wait, what just happened here? What's going on? What are you talking about? He's clearly affected by her verbal takedown too. You're pathetic for needing people's approval so desperately, which they then pay off at the end of the episode. But obviously the even bigger reveal is that Stormfront is actually just Liberty from the 1970s, and she's just changed her identity and hasn't aged in the last 48 years. So that would put her around the Vietnam-era war when this flashback scene is happening. The really big Stormfront comic book Easter egg here too is actually for the original version of the character. In the comics, he actually was created by German scientists during World War II. Mother's Milk says that she's around 78 years old in present day. That would mean that she was born in 1942, smack dab in the middle of World War II. In the comics, they do the exact same thing with the character too. In present day, Vought creates a new identity, Stormfront, for this quote-unquote hero and says that they're a Viking because it's a big Thor Marvel Avengers Easter egg. He leads a team called Payback, which is another Avengers reference. The difference with the TV show version of the character is that after Vought came to the United States through Operation Paperclip after World War II and he started experimenting on people, it sounds like they found Stormfront as a baby, experimented on Compound V with her, turned her into the Liberty character, and once she reached maturity, she just stopped aging. She's just been this age for the last 48 years. But number one, though, probably the biggest WTF moment of the episode has to be Homelander almost, one, doing it with himself, and then two, killing himself. The way they played this was not subtle at all. It was like he was living out a domination fantasy of sorts with himself, like he was telling himself off, "You're weak, you're nothing." Then Stormfront's earworm does its evil magic on him in his brain, and he comes to the realization that I don't need anyone to love me. I don't need anyone's approval. Which kind of implies that he's going to become an even worse villain now, because what happens when a psycho like him doesn't care about the approval of other people? That's a real supervillain in the making there, so it just sounds like things are going to completely spiral out of control in the best possible way. I can't wait to see it all go down the drain for them. I don't want to talk too much about what happens in the future of the comics in case the show winds up doing it, but this does imply that they might be going for a big WTF twist. Most of you who have read the comic probably know what I'm talking about. Please don't post those spoilers in the comments below. Everyone, let me know in the comments what your favorite moment of the episode was, and if you spotted any big Easter eggs in the episode that I didn't mention in the video, just write them below in the comments. My episode 5 video will post next Friday. While you wait for everything, click here for The Boys Season 2 short movie all about Butcher, and click here for The Boys Season 2 Episode 1 through 3 video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.